Today I'm going to show you how to crochet these fingerless gloves. I've also included some helpful links in the description below that include a list of the materials that you're going to need for this project, as well as some other helpful links, including the written pattern.
All right, so we're going to begin with our starting loop. You're just going to wrap the yarn around your finger, pick up the bottom bit, and just push a little bit of that top piece through. And then go ahead and get that onto your hook. All right, so we're going to start with a chain 8. You're going to yarn over and pull your loop through your hook. Pull your hook through your loop. All right, just going to go ahead and chain 8. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now starting in that second chain from the hook, so there's the first chain, we're going to go in that second chain from the hook and we're going to work a half double crochet. You're going to yarn over your hook, push it through that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull right through all 3. Yarn over, push your hook through the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull right through all 3 loops on your hook. So you're just going to go ahead and continue on working your half double crochets down that row. And by the end of this row, you should have a total of 7 stitches because we began working in that second chain from the hook. So we kind of dropped a stitch at the very beginning of our work. All right, so by the time you get to the end, you should have 7 stitches of half double crochet. Okay, what this is that we're working on right now is the height of our cuff that's going to go around our wrist. And as we build our rows, we're working on the size around the wrist, okay? So you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. We're going to half double crochet into that first stitch, just a regular half double crochet as we just did all the way down that first row. Get a little bit more yarn here. All right, now we're going to work front post half double crochets all the way down. Okay, so instead of going into our stitch as we normally would, we're going to go in under our stitch and around that post, and we're pulling it to the front of our work. Okay, and we're going to do it as regular half double crochet stitches. So you're going to yarn over your work, go in and around that post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. And we're going to go ahead and do that all the way down. And you should still have, by the time you get to the end of this row, you should still have a total of 7 stitches. And this is how we get that really nice ribbed look. And I love this stitch for cuffs of any kind because it looks really nice. Like I like the texture it gives, but I also love the functionality because it is warm and cozy, but it's pretty stretchy, which is nice. I like that. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to begin this next row the same way with a regular half double crochet in that first stitch. And then we're going to front post half double crochet all the way down. So every row right now you should have 7 stitches. You're going to be beginning every single row with a regular half double crochet in that very first stitch, then working your front post half double crochets all the way down. And at the end of your rows, you're going to be doing a chain 1 before you turn your work. And you're just going to continue on doing this. I'm going to let you know for how many rows for a standard child size and how many rows for adult size. Okay, so chain 1 and turn your work. So I've just completed 2 rows of front post half double crochet with you. So looking at my written pattern, which if you prefer to follow a written pattern, the link is in the description below. For a child size, you're going to continue on with your front post half double crochet rows for 22 more rows. Okay, that's for a child size. For an adult size, you're going to continue on for 24 more rows. All right, so go ahead and work on your half double crochet, your front post half double crochet rows, and then come on back. I personally am working on an adult size, so I'm going to be going for 24 more rows, and then I'll meet you back here. So you can pause this video, go ahead and do those rows, and then come back. Okay, so now that you've finished those rows of front post half double crochet, you're going to see what I'm talking about that really nice comfy stretch. Okay, so we're going to fold our work in half, lining up the short edges. And we're just going to go ahead and close a seam using slip stitches. So we're going to push our hook in that first stitch and line it up evenly on the other side, pushing it through both sides of our work, those short edges, okay? Yarn over and just pull right through the loops on your hook for a slip stitch. And we're just going to go ahead and do that, working all the way down to close our seam. Okay. And we're going to chain 1. So now you've got your cuff. So now you can put a stitch marker in this chain 1 space, just so it's easy for you to remember where that chain 1 space is. You don't lose your place working in our round. So we're going to single crochet all the way around, but right now, because technically this was the side of our work before we closed this seam, right? It was one long strip and these were the edges. So right now we're not going to be working in any actual stitches because we have to create those. So we're just going to single crochet evenly all the way around. Personally, I like to just line it up with the rows, right? So rule of thumb here is that for how many rows that you have of work is how many single crochets that you should have right now, working evenly all the way around. All right, so you're just going to go ahead and work those single crochets. Let me slow one down for you just in case if you're not familiar with that stitch. You're going to push your hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop. You've got 2 loops on your hook. You're just going to yarn over and pull right through. Okay, so you're just going to go ahead and do that, working your single crochets evenly all the way around until you get here to your chain 1 space. Once you finish single crocheting evenly all the way around and you're back here at the beginning, you're just going to close with a slip stitch in that chain 1. So go ahead and work your single crochets and then come back. Okay, so here I am back at the beginning of my round. So I'm just going to go ahead and close with a slip stitch in that chain 1 space, and I'm going to chain 1 to start my next round. So go ahead and move your stitch marker up if you're using one to your next chain 1 space to indicate the beginning of your next round. All right, so now to begin this next round, we're going to single crochet once into that first stitch. We're going to single crochet twice into that second stitch. So there's one, and I'm going to go back in that exact same stitch and do another one. Now we're going to begin a bit of a repeat, okay? Ignoring these first couple stitches. So right now what we're going to do, we're going to single crochet once into each of these next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go twice in that next one. 1, 2. We're going to single crochet once in each of these next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to single crochet twice in that following stitch. 1, 2. 1 into each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Twice in the next. Once into each of the following 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Twice into the next one. 1, 2. Once into each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Twice here in the next. 1, 2, and 1 single crochet in the last one. Depending on how many you have right now, because of the even single crochets at the beginning, don't worry if it's a bit off. You can just go ahead and finish up your round. When you get back here to your chain 1 space, you're just going to close with a slip stitch and chain 1. Go ahead and move your stitch marker up to the next chain 1 space to start your next round. All right, so now we're going to begin our moss stitch. I love this stitch. It's one of my favorite. It's a 2-row repeat. Or sorry, 2 round in this case, 2 round repeat. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do round 1 of our 2 round repeat. You're going to do a half double crochet in the first stitch. So yarn over, push your hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop. You should be a pro at half double crochet by now. Okay, so half double crochet in the first stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the next. Half double crochet into the following. Slip stitch into the next. And you're just going to go ahead and continue alternating all the way around. You're just going to half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet, slip stitch. Go ahead and keep on repeating that all the way around. Close with a slip stitch in your chain 1 space, chain 1 to start your next round, and then come back. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the second round of our 2-row repeat. So we started off our last round with a half double crochet, which means we're going to start this round with our slip stitch, because we're going to be working and then half double crochet in the next. So this is how you get that really nice moss stitch texture. You're not going to see it right now because you're working with your work inside out. You're going to start to see it inside. You can already kind of see it from that first round of alternating between your half double crochets and your slip stitches. And you can tell which is which just by looking at it here. In case you forget as you're looking, it is easy to tell from here, right? These ones that have that little extra line in front of it, that's your half double crochet. Those little itty bitty stitches between is your slip stitches. You're just simply working all of your half double crochets into a slip stitch from the previous round, all of your slip stitches into a half double crochet from the previous round. And that's how you get that really nice moss stitch, that textured look. I love a nice texture. All right, so we're just going to keep on going. You're just going to keep on working this 2-round repeat. And don't stress yourself too much if you're forgetting, like, oh my gosh, which one am I on, 1 or 2? Really, all you need to do is make sure that you're working every half double crochet into a slip stitch from the previous round, every slip stitch into a half double crochet from the previous round. That's all, okay? You're going to keep on going. Let me tell you how many. I'm looking at my written pattern right now. So right now, if you're working on a child size, you're going to, excluding the 2 that we just did together, these first 2 rounds, you're going to go and do 6 more times of the 2-round repeat. So technically 12 more rounds of work in total, okay, for a child size, or 8 more times of the 2-round repeat. So technically 16 more rounds for the adult size. Okay, so go ahead and work your rounds until you get to the size that you need according to what I've just told you. So you're doing If you're looking at the written pattern, you're seeing that I'm telling you to repeat star to star 6 more times for a child or 8 more times for an adult. That's because I'm referencing a 2-round repeat, okay? So when I'm saying go ahead and repeat this 6 more times, I mean the 2 rounds I just showed you 6 more times. So you're doubling it up to know how many specific rounds of work. I hope that's not too confusing. Definitely send me a message or something on Instagram if you're thrown off. I'm glad to help you. You can also reach me directly through my message on Etsy. I do read my comments and everything on YouTube. I really appreciate all that feedback and everything, but it's hard for me to keep up with it. I definitely am much more diligent with my messages on Instagram and on Etsy. So those links are in the description below as well. But anyways, you are going to be, let me just reference this again. Okay, I'm going to break it down one more time. So if you're looking inside your work here, you're seeing that the 2 little ripples. This is your first 2 rounds, okay? And this is a 2-round repeat because you had to have the alternating, right, to get this effect. So we've technically done 2 rounds of work of moss stitch, but we've done our 2-round repeat once here, okay? So I'm not going to reference the round repeats right now. I'm just going to reference specifically how many rounds of work. So if you're counting all of these little ripples to know how many more you have to go, for a child size, you want to do 12 more of these rounds of work, just individual rounds, 12 more. If you're doing an adult size, you need to do 16 more, and then come on back. Okay, so now that you've finished your rounds, and you will have closed with a slip stitch and did a chain 1. We're actually going to be starting this next round with a chain 4. So we've already got that 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to skip the first 4 stitches of this round. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and we're going to go in half double crochet into that following stitch, which would be the 5th stitch of this round. Okay, and that's just giving us our thumb hole. All right, and you're going to continue around as usual with your alternating between half double crochets and slip stitches all the way around. And when you get back to the beginning, you're going to close with a slip stitch in the bottom of this chain 4 space and then come back. Okay. Just fix the view a little bit. All right, for this next round, we're going to go ahead and chain 1. You can move your stitch marker up. And we're going to begin by working into these 3 chain spaces. So we're going to start our round with a half double crochet. It could be a little tricky because that chain is probably going to keep on twisting on you. So half double crochet, slip stitch, and you're just going to continue on with your alternating stitches all the way around. Oops. See, it can be a little tricky. I almost worked around my chain there. Okay. You're just going to keep on going with your alternating stitches just like you did for this whole time so far. And you're just alternating between your half double crochets and your slip stitches all the way around till you get to the beginning, close with the slip stitch, and then come back. All right, so now that you finished that round, close with a slip stitch, chain 1. Now you're going to begin your next round, and we're going to continue on with our pattern the way that we were with working our slip stitches into a half double crochet from the previous round, half double crochet into our slip stitches from the previous round. Now I know for a couple of rounds there, it might have felt a little bit confusing with whatever you might have been working while we did the thumb. That's okay. You can look inside and see it's not changing the look of anything, okay? Now you're going to keep on going, with these rounds alternating between your slip stitches and your half double crochets.
If you're working on a child size, you're going to do 4 more rounds of moss stitch as we've been doing. If you are working on an adult size, you're going to go ahead and do 6 more rounds of work. You're going to close each round with your slip stitch, chain 1, and then come back. And once you finish those rounds, depending if you're doing child or adult size, then we're going to move on to the finishing. Okay, so 4 more rounds of work for a child size, 6 more rounds of work for adult size, and then come back. Okay, so now that you finish those rounds, we're going to go ahead and start our next round, just working 1 single crochet into every single stitch all the way around. This is just going to give your work a nice clean edge, and it gives it a nice finish. So go ahead and work 1 single crochet in every stitch around, close with a slip stitch, and then come back. Okay, so now that you're done, you're going to pull up your work to give a bit of a tail end, grab your scissors, fasten that off. Go ahead and pull the rest of that tail end through to secure it. You can take that stitch marker out now and set it aside. Grab your yarn needle, and we're just going to thread the tail end into the yarn needle. Okay, and you're just going to go ahead, don't forget your work is inside out right now, so you're just going to weave that tail end in and out of a few of the stitches just to hide it and secure it. And that's it. You can grab your scissors and just fasten that off. You just need to get it into a couple of stitches. Do the same thing for that tail end at the start of your work. You can flip it around to see your finished fingerless glove, moss stitch fingerless glove. I hope that you enjoyed this pattern. It's a really nice, comfy project. I love this one. And please do be sure to like and subscribe. Check out the helpful links in the description below.